Hello everyone and welcome to another episode on the Ordinary Boy Boxing channel. Now in today's video it is my review for the fight that went down on Sunday the 26th of February between Jake the Problem Child Paul and Tommy TNT Fury. Going into the fight, Jake Paul 6-0 with 4 knockouts and Tommy Fury 8-0 with 4 knockouts. I did do my quick prediction before the fight, and my prediction, which you can still see on the channel, my prediction was for Tommy Fury to win this fight on points. Going into fight, there was a lot of hype between both men, a lot of trash talking. This fight had been kind of a year and a half in the making after Tommy Fury pulled out twice. On pay-per-view in America and the UK and DAZN elsewhere, it shocked me how well this pay-per-view did, considering it is 2 novices, as you can tell from their record, fighting each other in an 8-round fight. Never seen anything like that before. Never in my lifetime did I think we would see an 8-round amateur professional fight become the main card and be the main event to the WBC Cruiserweight Championship, which it was, between Jack and Makabu, which was a fantastic fight, by the way. But we run about the main event. As I said, it would have done amazing numbers. It would not shock me if this broke the top 10 of pay-per-view records, believe it or not. So the fight finally went down the truth. Just before we get into the actual fight, just some things to note. Jake Paul took forever to enter the ring, which doesn't surprise me. I suppose it's his way of playing mind games. On a personal note, I had to get up for work at 5 in the morning the next day, so I did not appreciate Jake Paul taking forever to get to the fucking ring. But that's neither here nor there. I felt that on the ring walks, Tommy Fury, who I'd said in a prediction video I was worried the event may overawe him and he may, the big lights and the big event may get to him. He looked calm, he looked confident coming to the ring. It was actually Jake Paul who, at the weigh-in and on this walkout, struck me as someone who had started to realise that he hadn't got to Tommy Fury and he was now about to fight a professional boxer. I felt it seemed to me like that was starting to dawn on him. On the lead up to the fight, Jake Paul was the favourite, as I said in my prediction video. As it come to fight night and as it come to the ring walks, that shortened. The last time I looked, they were kind of even. And this was, there was open scoring from the WBC in this fight and the Cruiserweight fight that happened earlier on in the night, which basically means after, in this case, 4 rounds, halfway through the fight, as far as I understand it, each corner is told halfway through the fight how the fight's been scored. So presumably if one fighter is really down, that can then get relayed to the fighter, and I suppose the WBC's thinking is it makes a more interesting fight. So the fight finally happened. We had the ring walks, we had the national anthems, we had it all, and we got into round 1. Lots of clinching in round 1. I'd say probably, if you timed it, half of round 1 was them clinching. Tommy Fury's jab was the difference in this round, peppering Jake Paul as I expected him to. The difference in footwork as well was evident between Jake Paul and Tommy Fury. You could absolutely tell who has the experience in boxing. Lots of nervous energy from both men, especially Tommy Fury. You know, the one other thing I'll say, the weight of the world was on Tommy Fury, the pressure was on Tommy Fury. Everyone was saying you need to win this fight, and he knew how bad it was going to be if he lost. But yeah, both were nervous. For me, Tommy Fury won round 1. When they weren't hugging each other, there was good combinations coming from Tommy Fury, especially at the end of the round when he had a flurry. So yeah, so round 1 for me is a 10-9 to Tommy Fury. Going into round 2, Jake Paul constantly going for the overhand right. but completely telegraphing it. Again, the inexperience. I can't believe how much he telegraphed this right hand. I could see it come in 5 seconds before he tried to land it. And he was also throwing it completely out of range as well. Jake Paul has a strange jab. I noticed this when I was watching some of his previous fights in the build-up to this. Really amateur jab. It looks stiff, and as we'll see later on in the fight, it is powerful. But he does that. He puts his head down with it. So he's not watching where the jab's going. Really amateur. I'm surprised that hasn't been picked up on in a camp. That's if he does listen to his corner. Jake Paul did catch Fury with a few good shots in this round. Fury was letting himself be walked down in round 2. He was walking himself to the ropes and walking himself to the corner already. But overall in round 2, Fury's footwork and ring IQ and combinations, again, for me, won him round 2. So again, that's a 10-9 to Tommy Fury in round 2. Going on to round 3. For some reason, Fury was a lot more static in this round than he had been in the first 2 rounds, which was basically letting Jake Paul land the punches he wanted to land. Tommy's best defence is his foot movement, and it was just not being used in round 3 at all. Fury, getting caught a few times here. Even with a telegraphed overhand right, he was getting caught, showing Tommy Fury's inexperience. This was a poor round from Tommy Fury in round 3, and I gave it to Jake Paul. So in round 3, that's a 10-9 to Jake Paul. On to round 4. So in between the rounds of round 3 and round 4, Radio Raheem went over. Radio Raheem, usually a YouTuber, they brought him in to be a presenter for this fight and this event. In between the rounds, he went to Logan Paul, Jake Paul's brother. Really random this, and he was on the mic so everyone could hear it. He calls Tommy Fury and his family bitches, and says that Tommy Fury's gassing. I found it really cringy. There's no place for it in a fight. We're in the middle of a fight, and you've got some idiot saying how the other team's bitches. Not where I want to see boxing going at all. But it may have been what Fury needed, to be fair, because as he started round 4, he absolutely unloaded on Jake Paul. He lit a fire under his arse. So much better from Tommy in round 4, putting combinations together and using good footwork again. Fury's timing towards the end of the Fury was tiring towards the end of the round again, and that let himself get caught by a few shots from Jake Paul. However, the better stuff again was coming from Tommy Fury. So again, this is a 10-9 round in round 4 for Tommy Fury. And at this point, as I said, the corners presumably would have been given the scorecard so far by the judges. I didn't see that relayed to either fighter. And if they were scoring it how I was scoring it, at the moment, I have Tommy Fury winning 3 rounds and Jake Paul winning 1. So on to round 5, we're past halfway mark of the fight. We're past the point where both fighters said this would be over. Both fighters are gassing. I feel Tommy actually gassing more so than Jake Paul. Both exchanging jabs and power punches. Defence has just gone out the window for both men. Then out of nowhere, the referee deducts a point off Jake Paul for hitting around the head. Now this was not something I'd actually noticed, nor was there a warning for it, so I don't really know what he was doing. The referee was terrible in this fight, and you do get certain fights, and they're usually the bigger fights, where referees decide to kind of put themselves in the spotlight. It wasn't, I'm sure it happened for him to deduct a point, but it was nowhere near, it could not have been as frequent as it should have been for a point getting deducted, so I really didn't understand that. But a point got took off, so I will take a point off to Jake Paul at the end of this round. After the point got took off, Jake Paul landed a really stiff punch, which did wobble Tommy Fury. Fairly even round overall. I did edge it to Jake Paul though for that punch that wobbled Tommy Fury. As I said, they're both amateur, they're both sloppy. So in fights like this, it can just be one good punch or one good instance that wins the round either way, and then this for me was the case. So I gave Jake Paul the round, but he did have a point deducted. So in round 5 it's even. It's a 9-9 round. On to round 6. Nice uppercut from Fury in this round. Both men are really fatigued and looking even more sloppy as the fight's going on. It's to be expected with both. Fury though with a much better punches in this round. Then the referee took another point off, but this time he took the point off of Tommy Fury for holding. Crazy. This was something both men were doing, and it was nowhere near frequent enough to take a point off. This is boxing, it happens, and it was not happening anymore. It was not happening to the point where a point should be took off. Has the referee ever refereed a fight before? But it was crazy to me. Yeah, it just wasn't excessive at all. So I gave this round to Tommy Fury, but with the point deduction we yet again have an even round, so I'm giving it 9-9. Round 7, scrappy round here. We're coming towards the end of the fight. Fury fighting in a way that makes Paul look better than he actually is. The much cleaner and effective punches were coming from Fury again, but Tommy did look knackered. It's a good job it's only 8 rounds. I'd have worried for him if it was 10 or God forbid 12. So in round 7, the first round in a few where the referee's not intervened and changed the scorecards, so I give it a 10-9 in round 7 to Tommy Fury. And on to the 8th and the final round. Fury cut on the left eye. This was from an accidental clash of heads at the end of round 7. Fury looking tired and Fury looking sloppy. Gets himself caught by a jab and slips, so he goes down. It's a legitimate knockout. It's a legitimate knockdown because the jab is what caused him to go down, but he was off balance, so he wasn't hurt. But it is a legitimate knockdown, and the referee counted it, and I will as well. So the knockdown occurs. Yeah, and then they kind of traded punches, and then that was the end. They were both knackered and sloppy, really. So I gave that round a 10-8 to Jake Paul with a knockdown. Now watching it live, I didn't score along. I've rewatched it for this video. I felt that Tommy Fury had won, but I had no idea what the scorecards were with all the point deductions and the knockdown. Obviously, I rewatched it back and I scored it. So my scores is Tommy Fury 75, Jake Paul 74. So I had Tommy Fury winning by 1 round, effectively. It's obviously very complicated because of the points deductions and the knockdowns and stuff like that. But effectively, I had Tommy Fury winning by 1 round in this 8-round fight. The judges, so Tommy Fury won this fight on split decision. 2 judges had 76-73 to Tommy Fury, so they gave an extra round to Tommy Fury. And 1 judge had 74-75 to Jake Paul. Yeah, which I'm a little bit surprised at. But at least we got a winner. I was really worried we were going to get a draw. I did do a poll on the channel. Kind of 24 hours I think before the fight happened on who you guys were picking. It was quite torn. So 13% of you were picking Jake Paul by KO, 13% of you were picking Jake Paul on points, 25% of you were picking what happened and what I predicted, which was Fury to win on points, and half of you, 50%, were picking Tommy Fury to win by knockout. So that was the fight all done. Some takeaways. Radio Raheem, who I mentioned earlier, who's the YouTuber who was presenting this fight, was not great on the night. I do like Radio Raheem, but I've got to be honest. He was saying in the post-fight interviews that there'd been 2 knockdowns that Jake Paul had done. There wasn't. There was 1. Not sure why he was saying that. Asking the same questions over and over again, not really listening to what the people were saying. I don't know if it's his decision, but him going to Logan Paul, get them mixed up, going to Logan Paul and in the middle of a fight for everyone to hear, and then that outburst coming from him was not really helpful or looked very good, just looked cringy. Derek Chisora was an annoyance throughout the whole of this fucking build up for this fight. never used to mind Chisora that much, but he really is. I don't know if it's too many punches to the head or he's just speaking shit. He thinks he's now a promoter. He's not. Getting himself involved in things. He was at the top table of the press conferences, was asking the same question over and over, not really listening to what was going on. You could tell he didn't give a fuck about the fight. I mean, I don't blame him, but you're there, so if you're going to promote it, promote it. But yeah, he's no promoter. Yeah, the less we see Derek Chisora in the future, the better, I think. In the fight, pretty much every shot Jake Paul threw was completely telegraphed. You could see it coming a mile off. Poor jab from Paul as well, like I said, with the head. Fury gassed and decided for some reason to stop moving, which let himself get walked down and meant he got hit by very silly punches. And a lot of the punches he got hit with, he should have saw coming. I know he's only 8-0, but still, you've been doing, like you've said in the building, you've been doing this since you were 12 or whatever. You should be able to see these punches from Jake Paul coming. He made the night harder than it needed to be, Fury. I think his dad even said the same after. Again, like I said, a poor referee. Got himself far too involved with the fight, and I didn't agree with either point deduction. So many celebrities and so many boxers were there in attendance. This is definitely the start of Saudi Arabia taking over big events. Deontay Wilder was there on about how he's going to fight there. They'd obviously got Tyson, they've got Devin Haney, who I think might have a fight there. Joseph Parker, Tyson Fury, goes on and on and on. So Saudi Arabia are cooking something up here and they've got a lot of money to play with, so I would expect a lot of fights to happen there. I'm now thinking Deontay Wilder's next fight is probably going to be in Saudi Arabia. Tommy Fury gassed before Jake Paul, which I was actually quite surprised at. I don't know if it was the nervous energy going in and him not being on that stage before. Tommy Fury crying at the end, you know, I understand he's got a lot of flack, but anyone would think he'd won a world title. He beat Jake Paul and made it look hard. I understand there's relief there, but if you want to be this professional boxer and maybe a world champion, this is not a massive achievement. The money you make is, and well done, you've made a load of money for beating Jake Paul, but being in tears and, you know, raising his hands like he'd won a world title, bit ridiculous if you ask me. Jake Paul blamed illness throughout the camp and an injury. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all, really. He's very arrogant. He can't accept defeat, I suppose. I don't believe him at all. This was always going to happen. Like I said, it's my prediction. I actually thought Tommy Fury would win a bit clearer on points than I've had him win anyway. But at least he won. Thank God he won. So what happens now? Well, as I said in my prediction video, Jake Paul does have a rematch clause which he can invoke, and I think he probably will. If there is a rematch, I don't think it'll have the interest this one's had. It'll still do well, and it'll do well enough for them to put it on, but I don't think it'll have the interest that this had. Do I think it'll be any different? No. If I was Jake Paul, I'd have this fight over more rounds. I'd have it over 10 or 12 because Tommy Fury gassed quicker. But then would he in the rematch? Because the pressure's not going to be on him like it was on this one. Look, at the end of the day, Jake Paul just is not a boxer, and you could tell from the foot movement, you could tell from how he telegraphed his punches. I understand, and I've had this in comments on videos I've done previously, I understand he works hard and he trains hard, but it doesn't make him a boxer. And as I've said about Tommy Fury, he's poor, and I know he's a novice still, but he's still poor. Is he 8-0, 9-0 now? There's fighters 9-0. By this point, you can see if someone's got skill. Tommy Fury's very quick. His foot movement can be good, but that's about it. And he's got good range that he's been gifted with from his long reach. But I don't see him beating anyone of note in the cruiserweight division. I suspect we will get this fight again. Tommy Fury now is in a weird position because he's not going to make anywhere near that money for fighting any other boxer. So I don't know if he does. He may be better off just fighting these YouTubers, to be honest, because he can beat them and they're better paydays than actual boxers. But time will tell. As I said, I suspect we'll get the rematch. It's only February now, so it will happen this year. I'd imagine maybe late summer. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the fight. Did you think it was a fair decision? Do you think Tommy Fury should have won clearer, or do you think Jake Paul won? Do let me know. And if you've got any interest in seeing this fight again. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, please do click that subscribe button and like this video if you've enjoyed it. And I shall see you in the next video.